As we all know, the election always gets investors a little bit jittery. I know for me, I can speak to that. Here to talk about investment strategies, no matter the outcome, we welcome Jerry. I'm going to let you pronounce your name because I've never met you before.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Bree.
Nice to have you. Welcome.
Welcome to the program. So let's get right. Good to see you. Let's get right to it. In terms of how people react, in terms of when the election's coming up for investments, many people are kind of clueless on how the government works and how it can really affect your financial plan, right?
Exactly right, Michael. There's so many people on both sides, the extremes, and people who are normally not extremists are somewhat acting extreme to some great degree. Friday, someone here, said, okay, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Portugal. I've had other people tell me if Harris wins, I've got to leave the country.
Sure.
And they have their reasons and they tell me why it is. And I've got people calling me pretty much every day. I want to meet with you. I want to talk to you. I want to sell everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, because of the outcome of the election. And again, to some great degree, I think that people don't really know how things work. I've got a slide on that we have three branches of government. It's not just the president. There's the executive branch is the president, and then there's the legislative branch, which is the House and the Senate. And there's 100 people in the Senate, 435, I believe it is, in the House, and then you have the judiciary, and two of those three can overrule the other.
Right.
And so
we call those checks and balances.
Checks and balances. And so it really isn't just the president. Yet this election, more than any I've ever seen, has people just like, if the one person wins, whatever one it is, that all heck's going to break loose. And I think that people need to really understand that it's not that simple to take over the government and to just say, okay,
and
this is what we're going to be.
This same scenario played itself out in the last presidential election as well, because I remember the same dialogues that I heard people, moving out of the country or selling off everything, and so it really, the word jittery really does come into play because people are just kind of frozen.
They want to sell
what to do.
They really do. And here's my advice for that. If you have a retirement account, 401k, 403b, IRA, something like that, and you really feel that way, my job's not to tell you how to think or what to do. But if you feel that way and it's in a qualified account, go ahead and sell everything because there's no tax implications unless you draw it off. Just keep it in an IRA, put it in a money market, you'll get 4%, or put it in a CD that comes due in December, and then you can figure out what you're going to do. But if it's in a non-qualified account, let's say your trust, your individual name, then you start having problems. There are things you could do to hedge yourself, et cetera, but my opinion is to wait and see because it does depend not just who wins the presidency. There's more to it. There really is. And so, if, for example, you have, let's say a Trump wins.
Let's say a Republican wins, right?
Yes.
So
What
does that
possible
look like?
outcomes?
Well, if the Republican wins, it depends on who takes the House and the Senate.
Right.
Now, the thing is about the Senate is that it's a 51 to 41 Democratic hold today, and one of the seats, Joe Manchin, a Democrat, is out. He's not coming back. And there's a Republican governor who's very popular. He's going to take that seat.
Right.
We're very confident of that. So now it comes down to, does it switch? Well, the Senate seats are every 6 years. And so they divide it up, 33 one year, 33 the next election year, and then 34 to make 100. This is the 34 year, but there's 23 Democratic seats and only 11 Republican seats.
Right.
So the likely is 2 to 1 that the Republicans are going to take the Senate. And that is pretty much across the board, that the Republicans is going to flip from Democrat to red. And so then it comes down to the House. Well, the House, everyone's up for election. And it really kind of depends on who wins the presidency. They're saying who wins the presidency may carry it. However, as in the last few elections, the popular vote is different than the Electoral College that a lot of people just disregard, but it's the way our country works, and it's a good system. People say, well, they didn't win the popular vote. Well, yeah, but they won the landmass vote. When you look at a country, in our country, the landmass is more red than blue. But we have these very populated coasts, that want to control the rest of the country. So if they both switch, you end up with gridlock. But there is a chance, the two most likely outcome is a red wave, okay? If that happens, oil, drill, baby, drill, that's what the president says would be good. Small U.S. companies. Why small companies? Well, they're all predominantly U.S. He's got that MAGA, Make America Great. He's going to do everything he can for them. And then defense and steel industries, he's already made it known he wants to keep the steel here, bring manufacturing here. That would happen. Now, there's a smaller chance that you have a Democratic blue wave. Kamala wins the House, she carries the House. And that's what they're basically saying. Whoever wins the presidency could carry the House, but that would be a blue wave, but the Senate still might cause that to happen, to not be all blue. So that's really the least likely scenario is what they're saying. They're saying if Kamala wins, she won't have the Senate, but she'd win the House because they would ride her coattails. But in that situation, green energy would work. You know, solar companies, anything to do with energy generation, AI, artificial intelligence, she's all for that. And then international companies will do much better under a Harris presidency than under a Trump because he's going to put the tariffs out there. But the likely scenario is this gridlock. And that is the check and balance where neither candidate gets their way. And that would alleviate a lot of the concerns people have. That's why the people who want to sell everything right now, probably a bad idea. I mean, it really is. Just watch and see. Markets are hitting all-time highs. Seasonally, we're entering the best season of the markets. We have earnings coming out. They're all doing good. The economy's growing at a 3% GDP. Things are pretty good. Don't sell because of some extraneous thing that's in your head. Seriously.
That may never even come to fruition.
Correct.
Yes. So better to be proactive in planning than reactive and having regrets.
Well, again, if you want to do it, hey, it's your money. Do the safe thing. But if you're going to do it in a non-qualified, meaning your regular taxable account, you better look to see did you buy Apple at $20 a share 15, 20 years ago, and now you got this big tax hit. You've got to take taxes into consideration. If it's a retirement account, there's no tax implication. Go ahead and make the sell. Otherwise, they can call me up. And there are ways to hedge yourself with offsetting things that can help you. But
at this time of year, are you more counselor than you are investment planner? Do you feel that way?
This time I truly am. It really, and it's funny because it's both sides. They just, it's so crazy. I'm more of a moderate middle guy and always have been. I don't like any politicians really. None of them are talking about the debt. So, I don't have a candidate in the race, if you will.
Because in the history of the past two elections, there hasn't been a giant market swing right after the election. There hasn't been a major movement in the markets, right? So I think, at least judging on past performance, it isn't as big an impact as people make it up to be.
Well, Michael, the statistics generally show that right after an election, no matter who wins, especially if it's someone new, which this time whoever wins is going to be new, right? There usually is this honeymoon period of time that lasts for most of their first year. So that's another reason why I'm pretty optimistic. I don't care who wins. It's going to be probably a pretty good run for the market because we're inheriting a good market, a good economy.
All right, if people want to come see you face to face, hear what you have to say, we have a different date this month. It's usually the 4th Thursday, but now we're doing the 3rd Thursday.
Well, yeah, usually the 2nd, but we had to move it out. Something about Clubhouse 7. We're going to talk about all this. We're not going to get into, who should win and all that sort of stuff. It's just what to do based on potential outcomes in a little bit more detail how to hedge yourself. Yeah, it's this Thursday, 3 to 5, Clubhouse 7.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And some of the things people can come ask, what are some examples of questions people should?
People can come ask me anything.
I like that.
That's why it's called the Financial Forum. Anyone who's concerned, it's not just me answering the questions, it's the group. I mean, people help each other. There's sophisticated investors and there's very novice investors. You don't have to sign in, you don't have to RSVP, just show up, just listen, participate if you want to, ask your questions if you want to. It's a good group.
Okay. Jay Slusewicz from Pacific Financial Planners, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it. And we're going to stick with the political theme here. We're going to have the Republican Club up next. Stay with us.